Okay. So what we are doing are these values, because Arjuna's question was what is Jnanam and what is Gneyam, right? So what is Gneyam is this big picture that we are talking about, which is the truth of you happens to be the truth of Ishvara also. Okay, but in order to prepare yourself for that knowledge and to live that knowledge, you really need to align yourself to many things, so that is what we call the values by which we live, right? So we saw 3 values. So that becomes means of knowing. So Gneyam is the reality, and means of knowing is the values that you need to know in order to cultivate in order to know the final reality. So the first one we saw was Amanitvam. Amanitvam was the absence of what? What was Amanitvam?
The absence of the sort of ego, the I. Conceit.
Yeah, conceit, exactly. Right? Given attitude, and then how to put it in perspective, right? The second one was Adambhitvam. So what is Dambha?
So like
Pretense. Yeah, perfect.
Facade.
A facade, exactly. Right? So there also the whole approach of Vedanta, you must remember, is not to tell you, oh, you should not be this and you should not be that. It actually is analysis of what goes on in your mind to be this person, and then what are the fallacies in this thinking and how to undo those fallacies, right? So when you do that, when there is a whole analysis, then it naturally drops. I don't need like that, right? So then the third one we saw was Ahimsa. Ahimsa we defined as what? Non-violence, right? Non-hurting, non-violence, and we broke it down into 2, physical and emotional. And one thing it's very important to understand, that in order for one not to cause any emotional violence, it's extremely important. All of these emotional violence happens unintentionally because of the issues that we have within ourselves, right, which are not dealt with. So when they are not dealt with, it comes out on somebody who then becomes a scapegoat, right? So therefore, many of it, it's amazing. The first step to changing is what? You recognize that you are doing something. Because unless the person recognizes that, there is no way the person is going to change. Because the person's orientation is going to be that this person is at fault, that one is at fault, and I'm just fixing it and I'm just saying what I think. The person never actually looks into oneself and begins to see where is his behavior coming from. Right? So therefore, for example, if you have anger, you have fears, then very few people recognize that this anger is coming from there may be some reason. Please understand, it's not like the whole thing is only your story. There is an external event.
Stimulus.
Exactly. There is a stimulus which you cannot deny, right? But what you do,
Proportion of your reaction.
exactly. So that means that thing becomes like a huge picture, and that there are a lot of assumptions and there is a lot of building up which we don't recognize. So we continue to attribute it to the external stimulus that, so therefore there is no incentive for us to change, because we think, yeah, this anger is justified, right? This fear is justified. So there is no why would you change? Because you convince yourself that the cause is something external. Okay, so it's only when you recognize that maybe there is something outmade, then there is some impetus to actually look into it. Which are the facts and which are the your additions. When you begin to divide the two, and your additions, you can't really do much with reference to the other person, but what you can do is undo your thing, and you will see when you undo your own stories and make it more aligned to what is rather than what you believe, external world will respond differently. Problem with her, for example, with her husband, she just could not get along. And what happened is that, I mean, there were some reasons. It's not like the husband was like an angel and she was just projecting, not at all, right? But when she started distinguishing between what was his behavior and what are the other things that she was adding, then when she was talking about something which was upsetting her, she was far more calm. Exactly, calm. It was not getting loaded with all kinds of emotions and all kinds of things, and and she was able to talk about it with a lot of lucidity and remaining at the level of facts. So then husband started responding, because initially what would happen is she would get into this kind of a thing, of emotional kind of a trauma, how she's, and say you're just like making this whole drama, and you would not take her seriously at all. But when she started, see, we go from this drama to being totally passive. We don't say anything. And we think that this is like a spiritual growth, that I've stopped talking about it. But none of the two are correct. So that you can articulate things, but you say it, with a certain amount of, I don't want to say devoid, all the emotions are a kind of, irrational. Please don't make that mistake, because many people, yeah, exactly. You can even talk about your emotions and say, this upsets me, and it's a fact. This makes me sad. This, and there is no problem with it. But that sadness, if it comes out as you're like that, and I'm so, exactly.
There's no blame.
There is no blame. But you can talk about your emotions and how a given event makes you feel. And husband started responding, because there was the whole pattern of how she was communicating, it changed. So then it's amazing. You can't really change the world, but many times when you change, the things around you slowly begin to change. Okay? So anybody who starts thinking that the people are unchangeable, situations are kind of unchangeable, is not true. The whole universe is in constant flux. There is no such thing which is staying constant, actually, right? But the more we align, things will, it may not happen tomorrow, it may not, because it has its own life, it has its own, but you have to try, and you have to continue to align yourself first. And the more you do that, you'll be amazed how people will change around you, right? So therefore, in order to practice this non-violence, and the minute you begin to do that, not only you don't cause unintentional harm on others, you don't hurt people, but also when you begin to articulate the hurt that you receive from others with a certain amount of objectivity, nobody is really a bad person. People just end up being who they are because of certain issues which they haven't dealt with. And once you recognize that, you can be kind and at the same time assertive. And that is something which is very much needed, right? So that leads then to accommodation, right? Kshantihi. Kshantihi is, the biggest problem we have is we can't accommodate differences. Differences, if they are acceptable to us, then it's fine. But if there is, this person is acting differently than what my expectations are, that it can happen at a very kind of, you don't even realize how you're not accommodating, and how it actually ends up having a huge impact on the other person. So I will give an example as to, and this is a real example. There was this woman, and her son was actually a very good cricketer, and he was a very good bowler, and he really wanted to be a professional. Okay. Now parents were both doctors, and they got really afraid, and they said, my God, cricket means it's so uncertain, and you can't really rely on you being selected in the national team, and whatever. Went and played in England and all that, but still parents said, okay, as a backup you must have a career. So then when you then they put so much pressure on him to become an IT professional. So then you can't really pay that much attention to your cricket. Then over a period of time, then he just kind of yielded and he became an IT professional, and he's doing extremely well. But this thing of not being a cricketer, which was his love, that was not accommodated, right? And not accommodated, the parents didn't even realize, because they thought that they were just doing something good for their child.
They felt that they had allowed him to
And
play
they,
cricket, and
yes,
never stopped
and
him
then
why have
absolutely.
we done wrong?
But the burden that this child is carrying is something which is just incredible. Okay, so every small thing, every small trigger would make him like, well, if he's saying something, and if somebody else is saying something else, he cannot handle. He cannot handle, and he would get really aggressive, and he would get abusive and stuff like that. And then I think he himself, parents sent him to us, and we were just talking about it, and he wasn't even sure what was happening. Why was he reacting in this manner? And during our talk, we understood the fact that what he was carrying in his mind is, he really wanted something, and somebody talked to convince him to take him out of what he really wanted to do. So that means that impression that when any time somebody is talking, and he at that time had to yield, so exactly he becomes absolutely.
No, he also wants to convince others, because
but once he's scared, he will lose his conviction.
Absolutely. So it triggers that response. Without him, he didn't even realize.
Protecting his own value.
He is protecting his own value, because in his mind creates his image that now this person is going to prevail over me. So he just gets really aggressive, because as a child he had to yield, right? So now he became, and he didn't even realize. It's not even that he was connecting that this is what I'm doing.
That's interesting.
Right?
It's a very natural reaction.
Yeah, but to
Without-
get to the cause is not easy.
It's not easy, because you can't really, you can't connect.
It's so far back.
Absolutely. It's so far back.
To kind of take away everything and just make it come out.
Absolutely. So therefore, all of us in some ways are, we think that accommodation is a very important thing, right? Because we constantly convince ourselves, and we realize the burden that person carries of our convince, even if the person gets convinced, right? The person carries the burden.
But for children, you do need to, because they are not often capable, or I don't know whether I can use the word capable, but you do need to give them two options.
Yes.
Then you do need to say that this option will give you this and that option will give you that.
Absolutely. But see,
not forcing them to do anything.
Absolutely.
Not
You are
forcing them
never
to do
able to
anything.
convey it without heavily weighing your preference.
absolutely.
But that does
So,
happen. No?
yes, Gopi, see
How do you make
what
it, how,
Everyone
because you
does
are also
that,
not
yeah.
sure, even with school to go to, or what to take later on in your life as a career, or to study abroad or study in India, whatever the choices are, for a 10th stand, say that how do you know what is, how do you know where you're putting force or not
Especially if the child doesn't have a strong conviction. You see, if your child has a strong conviction, it's easy to say, I will support you.
But
True.
this boy had a very
strong conviction.
Here, this
He
situation
he excelled, right?
This situation, the parents put their
No, may not have at that point.
You're allowed
He was
to play
19
cricket.
years old, so he was not a
They didn't
baby.
stop him from playing cricket.
Yeah,
Just
he
when
was
you
not
read
a
an
baby.
it's like Natasha, right? Who wanted to do dance, but my brother kept saying, but you must have an alternative. You must do a little bit of academics as well. You know ballet.
But
or
you gave
something.
her the chance to do what she wanted, and she didn't make it.
Yeah, but
There's a
because she
big
was
difference.
He was
exactly
making
the same. But now, Avni, you accommodated, right? Your daughter went for the film because that was an unusual.
Yeah, Avni, can you tell me?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what
Because
happened?
Menika was so sure. And
Yeah, here the difference is the
That's what
child
I'm
knew
saying.
what she wanted to do. So I think with Menaka, who always sort of was unhappy at school, and the first thing she wanted to do was leave. And my husband unusually said, everyone can be happy in their own way and she should do what she wants to do. I actually said no. She needs to stay at school. And she wanted to give up maths in 10th standard and he was fine with it. And I actually said, no, sorry, there is a minimum you need to do. And they both were annoyed with me as she struggled through the 10th. And then later in the 12th, when she was so sure she didn't want to go abroad and she wanted to do film school, and she was very sure about that was fine. Having said that, right thing, because she wouldn't have got into half the places had she given up the subject she wanted to give up. She wouldn't even have got into this. There's a minimum you have to do. And they both kind of thank me now and say, okay, it was the right thing at that point, even though we didn't see it. But at this point, yeah, it was her conviction. She was very sure. She is very happy.
No, but I'm wondering if from a very
she's a transformed
age,
child.
Absolutely different child.
From a very
you
early
took
age.
risk.
Do allow that if the kid has that passion
Okay,
and
so
that
very honestly, there was
total
a
love.
compromise on
My
that.
son
You don't
wants
have
to
a
only
choice.
do
You
football and he gets into the best football academy. I'm not going to say
Say no, right?
I'm not going to, but here he doesn't really know. He doesn't want to follow
See.
football also seriously. He doesn't want to follow studying also seriously. So then at that point you need
See,
to...
this is what I'm saying. We, in our mind, we create two options. One is like you let them do whatever they want. The second one is like you keep on imposing. But in between, there are so many different options, right? So communication is where you make the person, right, feel as though their opinions count. Because otherwise what happens is that the kids feel that I'm just imposed whatever the parents, you at least listen to them, right? I mean, from childhood it has to happen because it cannot happen overnight, right?
Tendency is to say
So-
this is what we feel, but now you say what you feel.
You've already come. So that means,
Exactly
and
what
we
I'm
just,
saying is that for Menika, who seems to be sure of what she wants, there must have been a whole bunch of good communication before that.
absolutely,
Yeah. Maybe we, right from the early stage, haven't had that very good communication.
occasion.
Which is why our children are not sure of what they want to do.
I don't think so. How can you say that?
Yeah, it could be.
No.
No, it could be that
no,
we
we've
haven't
not
actually
had
pushed them to
open-ended
explore
conversations
themselves
with them.
adequately.
No, but I tell you,
But also, Gopi, you know, to tell you the truth, exactly what they want. I mean, 15 varsh ma,
But you don't. But then also it is still. Just because you don't know what you want to do, that
then you have to
don't
do, absolutely, you have to do something. So then you participate. You give them a choice. Absolutely.
And I don't believe in doing it for them.
No.
At all.
So that means you participate and you explore. The whole idea is participate and explore and come up with the best solution rather than forcing them to. Yeah, absolutely. Now, but force can be subtle or it can be.
You know, to get into this, you need XYZ. Like you need to do math, so you need to get a 70. Now, if you are just not even getting 70 and 80, okay, you can't push to 90, but
Yeah, but
sit and do nothing.
That's true. So that's exactly what I'm saying. But make them own up to their decisions.
But that's
Right? So
they will have to realize at some point whether they
exactly. See, if you invest,
My niece has an experience.
absolutely.
Two kids my sister has.
Yeah.
Daughter very bright, son very bright. Daughter was not motivated as much, son was very motivated.
Huh.
Daughter, in the time she would do her own, got her 2000, not very good. So father said go for classes. Still came back with the same 2000. Joined a decent college, but not like the son who joined the top college. And then this girl from this second year of college, suddenly straight fours. Today doing a PhD and straight dean list from second year of on her own. So you can't, and not that she did badly, but it wasn't to her potential. All those parents used to fight, used to argue. And
But
then
even our
suddenly,
friend Z's son, he actually wanted to give up school in the 10th grade.
Huh.
He said, I don't want to do 12th. So they pushed, forced him to finish his 12th.
Huh.
Enrolled, he dropped out. She said he sat at home for 6 months. Just would not wake up till 12 o'clock, whatever. She was beating her head. And then one day they kind of put their foot and said, okay, don't go to college, but go do something. So he started working with some NGO. And she said that was that little turn. A year later, he had applied, he went abroad, he studied undergrad, he went to Columbia for his postgrad, he's come back to do law, whatever.
Absolutely.
But
It has to come from
See, it is absolutely. It is like absolutely.
It's the hardest thing.
We don't learn that.
for us.
It's very
It's the
difficult
hardest
for us.
thing.
We are fighting and arguing.
We fight
Because you see
all
one kid
the
doing
time.
it, you see the other kid not doing it, you say,
Yeah.
what is
But
it?
I feel that
It is.
then it can.
Then the
then
person
they
can.
find their direction.
No, I
Otherwise
think
you
the
don't
big
find
worry
their
is when
direction.
they're not doing anything is one thing, but when they get into bad things, then
that
what do you
is-
do?
That is.
Because I'm seeing a lot of
Less
kids
us.
there now.
It's funny you said that because my son, Daddy, I said, come on, Aman, now enough TV. And he turned and says, you know, you keep picking on me. Don't realize kids are doing drugs there, kids are drinking there, kids are doing this there. I'm a good child.
Then what do you? There is so many kids today doing all of that, and that is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to really bless.
I think that's
these
the
Yeah.
whatever values
not whether they
they
do
have
this or
learned at
that.
least.
You're quite.
And then when they're not doing anything, it's very easy for them to do all of that.
yeah.
Absolutely. See, there also I will tell you, because when I was young, then, none of my friends were allowed to go out because parents were so protective about all these girls going out at night and all. So they were all like hiding and they were saying, okay, I will go to my girlfriend's place and then they'll go party and stuff like that. But my grandparents, I grew up with my grandparents, they would send me everywhere. They said, you're such a good girl, you'll never abuse. So that means I was given an input
That's another.
of telling that you are responsible, you will not abuse, certain things will allow you to do certain things.
Your burden.
And that was,
That is pressure, right?
yeah, exactly, but it's a different type of pressure, right? Because when I go out there, I feel I'm responsible, and I have to be whether I am responsible or not. I have to keep up to what they somehow think of me,
But you
right?
don't ever feel like,
So then-
I've done something wild.
No, because I was like, I have to be responsible. I had a good time, right? And I felt so empowered because all my friends had to lie and do these kind of things. And I was very open and I was just going out and I was having fun and all that. And there was no conflict. There was nothing.
Even I was never
I've never given it, I've never been given one.
Even I had such an open
Maybe at some point I should have gone wild, or I should have done that. I do feel
But
okay.
if
You should, you
want
feel.
the freedom,
What
you still don't know why.
Gopi's trying so hard.
I wish I could.
But sometimes maybe
I
when
try
you
so
go wild and the other
wide,
person
so
then
much to make her go wild.
She stays within her parameters. Yeah,
Maybe I don't really want to go wild.
yeah, exactly.
no matter what.
I think
Deep into the sea.
what it says is how many, just think about when you talk to your kids, from young age, not now, right? How many times you give a don't do this, don't, and how much of the time that's great, do this, that is, and that is wonderful, explore, ask questions, and it's all mostly like commands and, telling them what they should do. Kind of feedback we give as more like not rather than yes, So that's a whole different way of communicating. It's not like letting them do. I'm not saying leave them to do whatever. As a parent, it is your role to communicate, but how you communicate, what you say, how much you listen, all of that shows how much you accommodate, right? And that goes for any other relationship, every relationship.
It's how you talk.
It's how you talk. And in order for you to be, right? Otherwise it's a total put up, right? You just put it up. You change your style, but you actually think the same way. It'll stay for like 2 sentences and you'll come back to your old self, right? So that means it's not just how it has to reflect what you think.
But I think this listening, if you record a conversation between your child and yourself, you are often doing much more of the talking.
Absolutely.
And I think this listening is very important.
Very
Because
important.
sometimes, what the child doesn't say or how he says it, gives, I think, a lot of clues.
Absolutely. And that is not only with, right? How much we actually listen and how much we continue to be what we are, and we just kind of impose our ways. It's actually
the back of our mind, the pressure of time. Like, oh God, can I really have 3 minutes more to listen, or do I need to be doing something else?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really
By the time you ask somebody a question, and by the time the person actually replies, your mind is like here, there, and you're not even listening. And the person actually knows. If a person is there with you or not, you can easily tell. Okay? That's why our communications have become so superficial, because nobody actually listens to anybody.
Nobody's engaged.
Yes.
And nobody is really engaging. And Arnaz, it's amazing when people come to us and I just look into their eyes and I just listen, and I don't show that I have something else to do or whatever. That itself is so healing for them. You can't imagine how healing it is. That somebody is there and giving you full attention without else, just that you're there with that person, with that at that moment. Okay, and that, I mean, these are small things, but they are very big things, right? So that accommodation is something which is genuinely, because as Gopi very rightly says, that the child doesn't know, but what you need to know is that you also equally don't know.
That's so true.
Right? You pretend as though you know it all, but the reality is that we also don't know.
For
No,
our
I
child.
think it's also our anxiety that we don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
for my son, I genuinely.
There is a difference,
Yes.
and then there's acceptance of that
Difference.
difference, which allows the accommodation.
Yes.
So can we just talk a little more about these differences and the acceptance of
Yeah. So see, these differences are sometimes, as I told you, right? The child wanted to become a cricketer, and you feel for the security of the child that you have to become an IT professional, that has to be a backup. So that means there is a difference, but there is no accommodation, right? But it's done in a very sophisticated manner that you don't even know what's happening, right? Now, let's say there are differences sometimes between couples. Small differences can lead to huge issues. For example, somebody gets up early in the morning and the other person doesn't get up early in the morning. And then there is this whole big thing. The person who gets up early wants to make noise, and not only that, but then gets into this self-righteous kind of a position that, this person is lazy. And if you begin to study Gita, you will start acquiring some terminology as tamas. This person is tamasic. So you start labeling the other person, right? And you have all these called names, right? And then you don't accommodate differences. Okay? So that means it all becomes a lot of rigidity. So how you are
judgmental thing, judging that difference.
Absolutely.
To say that my side of it is the right side of it, and that is the wrong side.
And even if it may be, let's say, right, it might be, but you don't need to, absolutely. You make the other person feel
Focus on utilizing
inadequate.
your positive whatever it is.
Absolutely. So if you feel like waking up early in the morning, that's a beautiful thing to do. It is a sattvic thing to do. There is no doubt about it, right? Because you're fresh, you are subtle, whatever. Just because somebody else doesn't do it, you can't give that person a name. And don't say that. You don't become absolutely superior to that person in all regards just because you have a better habit. So therefore, what happens is that we tend to be very judgmental, and not only we tend to be judgmental, but we label people. We create a picture in our, then that he or she is lazy, then it all becomes, there is one fact, which is this person gets up late. Okay, because I get up early, I'm more sattvic. The person is tamasic. The person is lazy. The person is, if you don't do it, then you are going to be dull only. So we keep on creating one whole big picture, and we keep on putting that person down. And we behave with that person with that kind of an attitude. And we think that the problem lies with the other person. We actually don't see what is our attitude and how we have, built this picture and given. So therefore, stay with facts. Yes, this is one thing which is my preference, I'm not I'm not going to get a plate. That's my prerogative, what I want to do. But the other person becomes inferior because the person doesn't fit into my picture of what is right. That tendency we have to avoid. That is really accommodating differences. Small things actually matter a lot, because our whole communication is with reference to the mental pictures and belief systems that we have subscribed to, and that becomes truth for us, and we build on that. So as we keep on building on that, and in couple I have seen it a lot. You don't have much of an agenda for others, but with your spouse, for example, you have, right? You do have this whole thing of some kind of an ideal of what that person should be, and if that person doesn't fit that, there is a disappointment, and that disappointment keeps coming out because it's not communicated. It's not communicated in a healthy manner. You take it, you build a story around it, and all your communication starts becoming distorted, and you don't even realize it. And you attribute all these problems on the other person, and you keep on condemning that person. And maybe there is some truth, but imagine the person feels condemned. Absolutely.
Not you're saying accepted, not you're saying misaccepted, because it's constantly a moving word.
Excellent. It's a moving word. Please understand, it's not a passive word. It's not an aggressive word. It's a flexible word, and it really shows that you need to, drop all these ideas that we have and these whole pictures that we have built, and we've given reality. If you take the whole world as something which is in a constant flux, and people are also changing, right? You will stop making very fixed ideas about them. And whatever is the problem, you deal with it. Right? Now, today my child is not doing well, so for rest of the life he will be lost. Behave with this child with that assumption, and you don't even realize. What is the reality? Today the person is lost. True. And you help the person see a little bit better. Okay? But because of that, the person is going to be lost for the rest of one's life. You never know what are those turning points. Because I can speak for my own self. It is exactly when is that turning point, you don't know. Yeah, absolutely. So absolutely. I have seen high achievers losing it. Yeah. Another child who was just brilliant at school, just absolute, always coming first. And he was a star for the parents. Now in one of the exams, which was a very important exam, maybe 10th or 12th or whatever, the person didn't do that. So instead of supporting the child, the parents started, because they were expecting him to stand first because he was exceptionally bright. Okay? Then when he himself was disappointed, and what is the feedback he received from his parents? Yeah, you didn't. And constant disappointment, a feeling of, thinking that he didn't do well. And there was this whole big thing, and he took on so much pressure on himself, he lost, because what he needed was support at that time. And said, okay, now this is not the end of the world, but actually parents kept showing that disappointment. And they were disappointed, and they made it known to him. And it's like, yeah, you didn't do well, you didn't work hard enough, you had so much potential. So when he needs support, he himself was feeling disappointed. The feedback came was not 1 ounce of support. So he lost it. So therefore, absolutely, there is no rule that you are a star, you are going to remain a star. That you are not constant flux. And you just have to do what you have to do at that given point in time to take that person forward and give support. Whatever support you give should not seem like an imposition, should not seem like you're labeling the person, you're condemning the person, you're putting the person down. It should come from a genuine care and support and listening and participating to find a solution. that participation to find a solution is a beautiful thing, because just as the other person doesn't know, we also don't know. So many things we don't know. So assuming this position of knowing it all itself together, that is accommodation. And as Sakhar said, it's a very dynamic word, right? So therefore, to do what is an appropriate thing to do at that given point in time is what we call living intelligence. And what is appropriate today may not be appropriate 2 years. There is no rule. Like how Avani said, at that 12, she insisted that 10th or whatever, she has to do math. But after that, you also let the child do what that child wants to do, right? So it's not like once you have insisted, then it has to be forever. So things and all these, the pictures of personality, this person is like this, right? And this is where our teacher used to say, it's amazing how we change the vocabulary. He says, there is no, this is accommodation. He used to tell, right? He used to tell us, there is no criminal in the world. He says, but there are people who take to crime because of some confusion. There is no criminal in the world does not mean that everybody is an angel. People do take to crime because of some confusion, but you can't make of who he is. Because of some confusion, because of some pain, he inflicts, pain on somebody else, harm on somebody else. Was, right?
That's why a lot of people believe that you should not be connected to you, you cannot be connected because you should really see where you came from, what you will do, everything. That's why.
So that's exactly right. So yeah, you need to intervene. Yeah. Absolutely. That is absolutely. Absolutely, Anna. Just get on with. See, a glass of wine, exactly, and unwind, right? And then just talk. See, this is, but Arna, this is how you become Sakhi. There is no other shortcut. There is no shortcut. See, because we have our own patterns of being, right? And there you have to break those patterns. And in all thousands of hours of Gita is not going to help you unless you have that capacity to sit with yourself. And just, it doesn't even take that long. But that awareness, absolutely. Absolutely. Just stare out, just stay with, that's why this meditation, that half an hour of waking time that you spend with yourself, reflecting on yourself. Right? Without again judging yourself, oh, I'm so bad. See, please don't get into that kind of a mood. Oh, I'm like this. I don't, just as you don't condemn, you don't also, you accommodate yourself, right? Because everything that you are is a result of some background that you have or some, it's not going to change overnight. But that awareness and that looking into it, you will see how you, with that little awareness and doing things little differently, that will make a huge difference. Okay? So therefore, when you say somebody has taken to crime, you're not labeling the person. And you're not also creating a mindset, oh, everybody's an angel. See, that also is a huge problem. In the name of spirituality, sometimes people create this fantasy world, oh, everybody is the same, everybody, like, I went to one talk and the other person said, you know what, I have very deep conviction, everybody is the same. What is the reality? Find me two identical things in this whole creation. even between two identical twins, there are differences. So if you begin to convince yourself that everybody is the same, but actually there are differences, you are not in touch with reality. It sounds wonderful, right? It sounds wonderful, everybody is the same. All the spiritual people give this so-called ideal kind of a talk, which is not in, they don't even examine whether it makes sense. Okay? It sounds like a wonderful idea to think that everybody is the same, but there is zero truth in it. So that means, but that is the level, absolutely. If you emote, so that means you have to understand that at which level you are talking about. Otherwise, there is all confusion in understanding. Exactly. It's about understanding the levels and be lucid with different. Absolutely, Bela. Absolutely. Otherwise, you create such a confusion in the name of this philosophy. Because there is identicalness at one level, we impute that identicalness at this level and we create a mess. And even in that clarity is very, very important, because I thought people think that living that vision means that you have to treat everybody exactly the same. Neither it is possible, nor it is wise, nor it is something that the whole world cannot function. Even Lord Krishna was very lucid. He was different with Arjuna and with Duryodhana. It's something that just because he gave this whole understanding of all that is here is one, doesn't mean that he treats he was different with Kamsa and he was different with all the people who were wise, right? Bhishma. So those differences are there, but what you have to carry is, what within those differences we project more than more. But recognize the differences and do what needs to be done. So that is what we call that's our personal growth. And that is accommodation, right? Acquiring wisdom. Now, somebody asked me at one given point that is there any limit towards accommodation? What do you think? Yeah, do you need to stop? Are there any circumstances where you can say that excellent. Blindness. That is absolutely. See, because when I say accommodation, people in their mind they think that means accept, right? Allow everything that is happening. See, this is where it's so important. What I say and what you hear is two different things. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, a good teacher has to constantly question and answer it to make sure that you haven't exactly misunderstood it, right? Because when I talk about accommodation, people think it is then just accepting everything. And that's, as Avni is saying that when it harms you, when it begins to harm you, you have to put a stop. Okay? So now I'll give you an example. A friend of mine is separated from her husband, right? And they have 2 kids. Now, for the sake of those 2 kids, right? She cannot, but allowed the father, the father to access the kids and everything. But Violet, and that, but she keeps on feeling that she has to accommodate. So I said, but if you actually keep on accommodating and for the sake of your kids are not dumb. No kid is dumb, right? If the kid keeps saying that the father comes and abuses my mother, what kind of image they are going to have? They are going to almost, unless they work on themselves, they themselves will end up with what? Relational problems. Because when they get into a relationship, that whole picture which they actually hated very withdrawn, or they will see, there are 2 responses. Very nice, Bela. When the kids see a dysfunctional relationship between father and mother, there are different responses. Okay? One is, they see it. It's like, you don't think that the kids, our teacher used to say that couples say, oh, we never fight in front of our kids. They close the room and fight. And today the kids know what is going on behind the closed doors. Don't think, absolutely. Don't think that just because it's not happening in front of them, they're too smart to figure out, right? The closed door means, and they hear the voice, they know that something is happening. So the kids, what happens is, when they see something which is dysfunctional, they immediately know it. Okay? Now, there are different. First is, at times, they think, that happens to many kids, right? It's their fault. So that means they think that they are the ones who are responsible for it, but actually it has got nothing to do with it. Okay? So now with that kind of a mentality, what will happen as the person grows? What will the person? Absolutely. This is what we call self-destructive. In every relationship the person enters subsequently, what will happen? The person will constantly think that I am the cause. Right? Constantly will, and totally decadent and totally non-demanding, because the person will constantly keep blaming themselves. That's one thing. The second thing is, then that's one response. In other case, you feel that one person, exactly, right? One parent. So you naturally take the side of one parent. So you think your mom is right. And then you start thinking that your father is right. You will create an image of male generalization. And you will constantly think that the male is this. And every person you meet, you will somehow believe that, and even if the person is not like that, right, you will fit it in, and actually very amazingly, what will happen is you look for a partner which will fit into that male image. The very thing that you hated actually behaves like that, because that's what you're used to, and that is what your male image is, and you will be actually unknowingly attracted to that kind of a person, and you will fall into the same pattern, which is incredible. Okay, so that is the second way. The third way it can happen is what you yourself start doing the very thing that you hated. Right? So that means you found the father to be aggressive, whatever. Then when you, let's say, have a close relationship, intimate relationship, you will repeat the very behavior that you... Yes.
And I just wait. I know this happens, but it is practically easy. And as the children grow up, some of them have been very receptive, and this is what we all do. That I don't really blame my father because that's what he said is not. And that is just how relevant it is. And the mother, the reaction, you always divide us into mother in family. And again, it's exactly the mother because she's the aggressor and
The passive.
passive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is just mind-boggling. It really goes on, and that's why it's a very difficult thing when you say suddenly, educate everybody beyond gender equality. It is so
It's so deeply ingrained.
internalized
Absolutely.
that it's really difficult.
Absolutely. So this is why no be like this, be like that won't work. You just really need to, only when they recognize that whoever I am, right, and whatever weaknesses I have has a background, and then recognize, accept it, and then begin to slowly make those changes, and not be those totally governed by that whatever has happened. That is the only thing that will bring about a change. And it will not bring about like change instantaneously. It will take its own time. It can't. So this is why, and accommodate also then means, because a lot of people, they come to Gita class and at their home they say, you go to Gita class and you're still angry, or you're still as though like the next day you're going to be all angels, right? It's not going to be like that. Please, there is yeah, and they all say things, and you're still going to Vedanta. That is a very common thing, right? Absolutely. So these are all that's why these are changes which are taking place at a very subtle and a very fundamental level, and that is going to take time. But it is going to happen also, whether you want it or not. Yeah, it is going to happen. It cannot but happen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for yourself, exactly. The more subtle and more aware, it's all about awareness. There is so much of our own being that is all mechanical, and we don't have that self-awareness. The more you become aware, you become subtle. You become a refined human being, right? And this is why I think what Avni is saying is so true. My teacher, there was at Rishikesh, I was attending my satsang, and one person had written a question to my teacher. And the question was that, do you have all these people who are studying Vedanta with you for the last, I don't know how many years, 1 year, 2 years. So I came to the ashram and I thought that they are all going to be like angels and they are self-aware and all, and they will be so nice to each other, and they are just fighting like everybody else, and they are also sometimes mean, and I see sometimes very petty behavior and all. So why is it like that? So that was the question. So I was very curious as to how my teacher was going to reply to this question. And my teacher said, yeah, you are absolutely right. He said, yeah, he didn't want to deny. He didn't want to say, yeah, no, but they are, not at all. He says, you are absolutely right. And he started analyzing. He says, you know what? I'm teaching something which is not a normal subject. Right? I'm teaching about the nature of I, the nature of the cause of the universe, nature of the universe itself, how to grow. I said, how many people are going to come to me? You tell me. This is the reality. Very few people really have questions about, there are a few people who will have questions about bigger things in life. There are. But majority of them are going to come to me because they are going through some situation which they cannot handle. And they are just looking for what? Some kind of a solution, because whatever is going on in their life, they are unable to handle. So that they are unable to handle, then they can either go to a psychologist, they can go to whatever, but luckily they have come to me, and I'm going to help them to deal with that situation in a much more kind of a refined and much more fundamental, right? So now, all these things which are there in their personality, which are unaddressed, really manifest. And when they are manifesting, what is the universe wants you to get better, because everything which is lying here unaddressed, it all actually has to come out and we begin to address it. But while that process is going on, it may seem that before our whole just kind of put it, suppress it, right? So therefore, when they start to manifest, it may seem to others that they are actually worse than others. Because now it's all starting to come out before it was all suppressed. And he says this is a process. And each one, and the whole, I don't want to tell them that this is what you should do. There are no rules. If you come to me, I just make you see what is going on. If aware. And the more you begin to see yourself clearly, you yourself will start making all those corrections. And I give you the tools for making those corrections. But he says that the whole process has to happen. So please don't think that, they've come here, so therefore they are all going to be angels. And that process is going to take different time for different people. Okay? Whether it all depends upon the baggage that they have had. Right? And how much even they are willing to be self-aware and willing to take that time, right, to make those changes. Absolutely. It also takes very little to go back to your thinking. So he says, this is the reality. And I'm totally aware of it. But to help them in that. Keep them not at all. Absolutely. He was an amazing human being. Amazing how well he understood and how much in touch with reality. Not all these ideas and all these Upadesh people give and all these bhashan people start doing. Just from all stuff. Accommodation also then means what? That you don't let people harm you. When it comes to you getting harmed, you have to stop. That also is part of it. Because you also need to, you have to teach people that there are boundaries. You need to say there is no human relationship that you have. If you let people violate that boundary, and then you complain and say, oh, they are mistakes, then don't blame them. They will do whatever they can get away with. You see a bully in a school. They will bully who? The weak. The minute you put up a little bit, the bully will lose on you. So that means you have to become strong. Strong not in that aggressive, that kind of a fighting mode. Now, one of my students says, she was putting up with everything, and now with Vedanta class, she understands that putting up with things will not do. As if that's your interpretation, right? I'm not asking you to fight with anyone. Please don't misunderstand and speak up in an aggressive manner. I'm not saying that. So it's amazing how what I'm saying and what people do. I said, I'm asking you, but drawing boundary doesn't mean that you have to be aggressive and you have to be all forceful and all that. You can be very calm, you can be polite, you can be, but let people know that you are not going to let them abuse. These separated are very, very dignified. So that is accommodation. Living a life of objectivity and self-awareness it's a beautiful topic. It's a really very refined, and you just keep on fine-tuning your dreams. and you will see how gratifying it is. Right? So that is the meaning of Archana.